Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. According to General Hospital teasers, after the paternity secret is formally revealed, Michael Corinthos might utter 7 heartfelt words to Sasha Gilmore Corbin. Michael doesn't want Sasha to worry that he will force her to allow him to be a part of the baby's life now that he's back. Michael has accepted Sasha's choice, but he has also given her the option to change her mind. But Michael might be the one to alter his mind first, particularly if the paternity secret is revealed. They can't continue to get away with it. Even though Sasha and Jason Morgan have set up this charade to make him the false father of her unborn kid. Everyone in Port Charles will eventually find out who the real baby daddy is, regardless of whether Sasha's secret is revealed during the custody hearing or even after the delivery. Willow Corinthos and everyone else who will be impacted by this startling revelation are included in it. The custody dispute may undoubtedly be affected by this, but Michael might reassure Sasha that they will deal with whatever comes up jointly. It's evident that Sasha and Michael still have a connection, which may eventually lead to a full-fledged reunion. Many fans saw the possibility of a happy family growing in Michael's most recent GH scenes with Sasha, Wiley, and Amelia Corinthos, who are all pregnant. This leads us to the 7th poignant statement Michael might make to Sasha following the revelation of the paternity secret. "I want us to be a family." At that moment, Michael might agree to raise this child with Sasha and to get back together with her. In the future, Sasha, Michael, Wiley, Amelia, and the unborn child might all make a cute little family. Willow would benefit from seeing Sasha slip in her former location with Michael. In terms of how this may impact the custody dispute, Michael could need to conduct some damage management, but he might not allow it to deter him from eventually pursuing the family he desires with Sasha. According to General Hospital spoilers, Michael has more difficulties ahead of him, so stay tuned for updates on all the surprises that lie ahead. Willow is told by Michael that she must decide between Drew and the children, and Dante confronts Lulu. Thursday, May 29, 2025. On General Hospital today, Dante confronts Lulu, Drew chooses to keep something essential, and Michael delivers Willow an ultimatum. Finally, Dante knocks on Lulu's door and accuses her of being honest with Gio. She claims she merely wanted to assist Dante, even though she knows Gio must have heard her altercation with Lois at the nurses' ball. He responds, "You didn't help anyone, Lulu. You simply made things worse." He charges her with doing all in her power to harm Brooke Lynn's reputation. "You allowed so many lives to be upended by your petty rivalry." Lulu unintentionally admits that Carly knew the truth as she tries to justify her behavior. Dante implies that she orchestrated all of this to damage Brooke Lynn's reputation and win back Dante's favor. Lulu insists, "I never once considered using this information to get back together with you. How could that possibly work? When I give you your long-lost kid, do you gratefully collapse into my arms? That's ridiculous, Dante, and incredibly self-centered." In the end, she makes it plain that she will never want him back. He advises her to avoid Gio, and they both agree that they cannot even be friends. "You've caused enough harm." Gio tells Emma that he broke his violin because it was a lie. He had always thought his mother was the source of his musical ability. Gio goes into a tailspin, not knowing who to trust or what to believe. Gio confesses that he doesn't believe Dante knew the secret, particularly given "the guy hates me." Emma reassures him that's untrue, and that he has a lot of admirers. He should crash at Anna's, she says. He wants to distance himself from everyone as much as he can. Michael forbids Willow from seeing the children and orders her to return home. Willow claims that she has been a fine single parent, but Michael claims that he always asks Wiley when they can return home. He came to the realization that she was prioritizing her personal needs and desires over the children, and he is now stopping this. She must dump Drew if she wishes to have a relationship with the children. Michael spits out, "My uncle is a terrible person, and being with him has made you terrible." She must now choose between Drew and their children. Drew wants Willow to explain what occurred to him in the automobile. Willow acknowledges that she may have to end things if it means keeping her children when she tells him about Michael's illness. In an attempt to manipulate her, Drew assures her that he will never let her lose the children. "There's no guarantee Michael will keep his word," he continues. Drew says, Then you'd be all alone and at his mercy. Willow quickly repeats Drew's remarks back to him, proving that his metaphorical brainwashing is effective. Michael was cruel, she claims, and that his unexpected return to town ambushed them. Refusing to give in to Michael, she removes her wedding rings, claiming she didn't want the children to inquire. She places her rings on the dashboard and declares the marriage finished. However, Drew says, "This one stays with us," as he takes up what was Lila's ring. He notes that Lila was his grandma, and perhaps they can eventually pass it on to Amelia. Regarding Michael, Drew claims they will uncover whatever he is concealing and completely destroy him. Given the impending custody dispute, Sasha and Jason decide they must continue to act as though he is the child's father. She admits, "It feels a little hypocritical that I have no problem helping Michael take Willow's kids away from her, but I expect him to let me raise this baby without interference." In the end, though, Willow is losing her kids because she is unable to keep her distance from Drew. Speaking to anyone listening from the terrace, Michael expresses gratitude to Jason for looking after Sasha and assuming the role of baby daddy. Stone Cold acknowledges, "I would do anything to protect you and your kids." Ideally, Michael would want to be involved in his child's life. As the custody dispute looms, Michael says he will respect her choice and concentrate on Wiley and Amelia. He has no choice but to take the children away from their mother, even if he doesn't want to. Jason promises his unwavering support. Michael promises not to abandon his kids ever again as he tucks Wiley in. Sasha and Cody discuss all that has happened in the Quartermaine kitchen. He acknowledges that he should have advised Lulu to halt the probe right away, and apologizes for not being a better friend. Cody draws a comparison between Joe's situation and his own experience learning the truth about his family. As she speaks to Olivia, who questions why she didn't recognize that Gio was her biological son when she held him as a baby, Tracy is at her most compassionate. Tracy laughs sharply and adds, "At least not then. You weren't psychic." After doing the intricate arithmetic, Tracy suddenly comes to a realization. She exclaims, "Oh God, I now have a blood connection to Sonny Corinthos." This just strengthens her resolve to remove Sonny from Port Charles before he has a chance to taint Gio. Ned, meantime, gives Brooklyn a hug in the living room and swears he won't question her decisions. She worries that Gio won't ever allow her to love him, but Ned responds, "Who wouldn't want to be loved by you?" Olivia, who was once a scared, pregnant girl herself, later tells Brooklyn that she forgives her and knows her better than anyone. According to Brooklyn, everything went well when Liv kept her child, aside from that awful incident where his father shot him. Olivia asserts that Brooklyn's decision was just as legitimate as her own, and that they will all try to let Gio know he is loved once he settles down. Tracy confesses to Ned nearby that she has known for some time that Brooklyn is expecting a child, and that Lulu most likely told him. With his confession weighing heavy on his chest, Michael stood in the darkened living room. The tension in the air was high, and the quiet between them was nearly oppressive. With her hands shaking and her eyes red from crying, Sasha sat on the couch. Now that he had finally revealed the paternity secret he had concealed for years, there was no going back. No matter how unpleasant the repercussions of his lies were, he had to deal with them. Michael inhaled deeply and moved closer, his voice almost audible above a whisper. "Sasha, I know there's nothing I can say that will make this right. I should have told you the truth from the beginning. I was scared of losing you, scared of what this would do to us. But that's no excuse. I lied and I hurt you, and I will never forgive myself for that." Sasha avoided eye contact with him. Her fingers clutched the edge of the couch as though she needed something to hang on to, and her jaw was clenched. She was in excruciating pain, and Michael wanted beyond all that he could take it all back. He went on, "I never meant for this to happen," his voice breaking. "When I found out, I thought I could handle it on my own. I thought if I just buried it deep enough it wouldn't affect us. But I was wrong. It was selfish, and I see that now." Sasha eventually raised her eyes to see his as a tear trickled down her cheek. Her eyes were like a knife, piercing him with betrayal. Her voice was shaking as she said, "How long, Michael? How long have you known?" The truth tasted bitter on his tongue as he swallowed hard. 3 years, the man acknowledged. "I found out 3 years ago." Sasha breathed haltingly, as though the words had hit her in the body. 3 years, she said again in a hollow voice. All this time you looked me in the eye, you held me, you promised me honesty. And the whole time you were hiding this from me. Unshed tears burned in Michael's own eyes. I know. And I hate myself for it. But you have to believe me when I say that I never wanted to hurt you. I love you, Sasha. More than anything. And if I could go back and change it, I would. But I can't. All I can do now is beg for your forgiveness. Forgiveness? Sasha laughed sourly. You expect me to just forgive you for this? For lying to me about something so huge? This isn't just about us, Michael. This affects our family, our future. How am I supposed to trust you again? For that he had no response. She was correct. Once trust was lost, it was very difficult to regain. No amount of apologies could repair the basic damage he had caused to their relationship. I don't expect you to trust me right away, he replied quietly. And I don't expect you to forgive me today, or even tomorrow. But I'm asking for a chance to prove to you that I can be better. That I will spend the rest of my life making this up to you if you'll let me. With new tears streaming down her cheeks, Sasha shook her head. I don't know if I can, Michael. I don't know if I can ever look at you the same way again. Her comments made his heart hurt, but he couldn't hold it against her. This was something he had caused. Whispering, I understand, he said. And if you need time or space, I'll give it to you. But please just know that I'm not giving up on us. Not ever. She didn't answer. Unspoken anguish and remorse weighed heavily on the quiet that hung between them. Michael knew he had forfeited his right to console her, to hug her, to reach out. At last, Sasha got up and used the back of her hand to wipe away her tears. Silently, I need to think, she said. I can't do this right now. With his throat too constricted to speak, Michael nodded. He was reminded of what he stood to lose as she passed him by the subtle aroma of her perfume. He was left to deal with his guilt alone as the door gently closed behind her. His head was in his hands as he slumped onto the couch. The damage was done, but the truth was out. All he could do now was wait and pray that Sasha would find it in her heart to forgive him, no matter what. But he knew in his heart that it wouldn't be that easy. Some secrets altered everything, and some wounds were too deep. When Willow Tate receives an ultimatum from Michael Corinthos, which forces her to choose between her duty to her children and her loyalty to Drew Kane, the tension in Port Charles erupts. Willow is divided after the emotional encounter, because she finds it difficult to balance her love for her family with her complex relationship with Drew. A contentious argument that could either lead to a reconciliation or additional distance between them is sparked when Dante Falconeri confronts his estranged wife, Lulu Spencer, about her recent actions. Michael's demand is a result of his mounting annoyance over Willow's participation in Drew's legal disputes. Willow has been crucial to Drew, who has been embroiled in a high-stakes business battle with Cyrus Renaud and Nina Reeves. Michael counters that their family is suffering as a result of her unrelenting devotion to Drew. He warns Willow that her continual absence is hurting their kids emotionally and physically, and that they need stability. Willow is forced to face the possibility that she may have been ignoring her parental responsibilities in favor of supporting Drew after Michael's remarks hit a chord. You can feel Willow's internal conflict. On the one hand, Drew has been a reliable confidant and friend who has supported her during some of her most difficult times. She is incredibly loyal and grateful to him, especially in light of everything they have been through together. Her conscience, however, is troubled by Michael's claims. She feels guilty about disappointing her kids, since she knows they deserve all of her attention. Willow must decide what her true priorities are as she struggles with this terrible choice. Meanwhile, Dante and Lulu's altercation heightens the drama of what is happening. Their relationship has been tense ever since Lulu returned to Port Charles after a protracted hiatus. Although Dante has made an effort to be sympathetic and patient, her recent unpredictable behavior has pushed him over the edge. He claims that despite his continuous efforts to improve their relationship, she has closed him out and refused to allow him to assist her. Still on the defensive, though, Lulu maintains that she needs time to take in everything that has occurred to her. As Dante questions whether Lulu still wants their marriage to succeed and demands honesty, their fight gets more heated. His annoyance is only increased by Lulu's evasive responses, which results in an intense and passionate conversation. Dante urges her not to discard anything, reminding her of their past love and the family they created together. According to General Hospital teasers, a final Sunny Corinthos hit could be authorized shortly. Let's talk about all the drama that lies ahead because it might finally be time for Sunny's enigmatic adversary to be exposed. Michael Corinthos was caught in the penthouse explosion intended for Sunny, as GH viewers will remember. Someone has to pay for what happened since Michael was seriously burned and might have died. Of course, if Brick hadn't acted quickly, Sunny might have been completely destroyed at the Los Angeles hospital. That day, another attempt on Sunny was foiled, but the assailant may try again. Moving this Sunny tale along seems like the ideal time now that Michael is back on canvas. Perhaps the authors are ready to ramp up the action here, because Michael undoubtedly wants retribution for the tragedy he experienced. Maybe Sunny's enigmatic adversary will try one final time to remove him when the custody dispute is resolved, to catch the newest hitman or hitwoman and extract some truthful information from them. Sunny may even set up a trap in which he appears to be a sitting duck. In any case, Sunny still needs to identify the powerful person who is trying to get rid of him. Sunny needs to find out who is pursuing him and end this, whether it's Jen Sidwell or someone more startling. Sunny can only start his mob exit strategy and safeguard his family in this way. On this last part of the plot, Michael might even collaborate with Sunny and Jason Morgan. Michael deserves to play a significant role in the future, because he is Sunny's son and an innocent victim. Still, a lot of watchers are eager to see what happens next because Rory Gibson is doing an amazing job as the new Michael Corinthos recast. According to General Hospital teasers, Sunny might soon uncover his enigmatic foe and hold them accountable. Stay tuned for any exciting updates. Drew Kane is officially the most despised character on General Hospital, which is quite a statement. Many people, including some of the most well-liked characters on the canvas, have come to be despised by the audience throughout the years. However, Drew did something that ultimately pushed him over the line after months of playing with the emotions of Port Charles locals and the people that watch them every action. Willow was given an ultimatum by Michael in the Thursday, May 29th episode. She would only be permitted to see Wiley and Amelia in the future if she dumped his uncle Drew. Why? Michael stated that his uncle was a terrible person. And you've become terrible because of him. Many people in the audience could agree with that, and they shared it on social media. But with Drew's next move, even those who stuck behind him probably had to think about giving up their hashtag Team Drillo pom-poms. Because Drew picked up one of Willow's wedding rings and declared they would be keeping them when Willow, determined to support her man, removed them to give them back to Michael. But that wasn't just any ring. It was the one Lila gave to Michael, her great-great-grandson, who put it on Willow's finger when things were much better. Drew, however, was asserting his ownership of the ring and stating that they might eventually give it to Amelia. Many observers noted that Drew seems prepared to forego his own oldest daughter, Scout, in order to give Amelia the ring. It would be an enormous understatement to suggest that supporters were wishing Drew bad luck. Angie posted on our discussion boards, "I need Tracy to fight him to the death for her mama's ring." And Tracy would prevail, as we all know. Willow also received a good deal of abuse, with people yelling at their TVs and urging them to wake up on social media. Hundreds of people called him out, many with facial expressions that would have made the late, adored Lila blush, and wanted to see him punished, but Drew bore the brunt of the hatred. Here's why my enemy busted. Sunny orders one last hit. A rigid code of loyalty, power, and retaliation governs the criminal underground. It's not just another violent act when Sunny, a seasoned and vicious crime leader, orders one last hit. It's a calculated move to get rid of a menace that may bring down his entire empire. Finally, the name of the enigmatic adversary had come to light, and Sunny realized that the only way to maintain his supremacy was to strike quickly. This was a matter of survival, not retaliation. Rumors about an invisible enemy had been circulating within Sunny's inner group for years. Operational leaks occurred, close colleagues abruptly betrayed the organization, and important officials vanished without explanation. Sunny initially wrote them off as the typical paranoia associated with his profession. However, he saw the threat when law police seized a large cocaine shipment, an operation that only a few of his most devoted guys were aware of. They were good, and someone close to him was working against him. Too good. Fear and accuracy were the foundations of Sunny's empire. He had forged alliances, disposed of competitors, and made sure his organization functioned like a well-oiled machine for decades. However, this adversary was unique. They weren't an ambitious underling attempting to take over or a competing gang leader. This was a person that operated in the shadows, targeting Sonny's operations' weaker spots without ever coming out. For the first time in his life, Sonny felt like the prey in a game of cat and mouse. It was an unexpected breakthrough. Marco, a cold-blooded murderer and one of Sonny's enforcers, had been pursuing a mid-level dealer who had been acting strangely. Rico, the dealer, had been sending odd payments to an offshore account that weren't consistent with his regular business dealings. Rico crumbled more quickly than Marco had anticipated when he brought him in for interrogation. He admitted that he had been providing information to an unidentified benefactor in return for money and safety under threat of torture. Who was the benefactor? Rico was unaware. Payments were untraceable, and all correspondence was encrypted. He was aware of one thing, though. The adversary was watching and listening everywhere. Sonny was enraged. How many other dealers had been penetrated if Rico, a low-level dealer, had been infiltrated? He gave the order to completely purify his organization. Anyone suspected of being disloyal was to be dealt with. However, the leaks persisted even as the bodies started to accumulate. The enemy seemed to be one step ahead of Sonny at all times, waiting for him to do something. Then the last straw appeared. Several senior members were arrested following a raid on one of Sonny's most secure warehouses. The police had detailed information, including the identities of all the people inside as well as the layouts and security codes. They had been handed everything by someone. At that moment, Sonny realized this was more than simply an informant. This traitor had extensive access and had long been a member of his inner group. 3 people were the focus of his suspicions: Tony, his most trusted enforcer; Carla, his mistress and occasional strategist; and Vincent, his long-standing consigliere. Theoretically, each had a motivation, the opportunity, and the means. It was believed that Vincent, who had always been ambitious, disliked being second in command. Despite her claims of allegiance, Sonny was aware that Carla had ties to competing families, and that he should never put his full trust in anyone. Tony had been acting suspiciously, leaving for hours without explanation and getting encrypted messages late at night, despite his unwavering cruelty. Sonny chose to put them to the test. He gave them each a distinct piece of bogus information, such as a manufactured betrayal, a fictitious shipment, or a phony meeting. He waited after that. The police moved on the fictitious meeting spot within days, proving the authenticity of the leak. The details he had provided to Vincent. However, something wasn't quite right. He had spent 20 years with Vincent. He had arranged some of their most vicious takedowns, taken bullets for Sonny, and contributed to the establishment of the empire. Why would he turn at this time? What Sonny discovered when he dug deeper rocked him to his core. He hadn't been betrayed voluntarily by Vincent. By threatening to reveal Vincent's secret family, a wife and child he had concealed even from Sonny, the adversary had blackmailed him. Vincent was forced to make an impossible decision after the enemy played him flawlessly. Sonny now had to make his own difficult decision. He considered Vincent to be a brother, but betrayal was betrayal. Complete allegiance was essential to the organization's survival. Finally, he issued the command. Vincent had been shot once in the head, and was discovered in his automobile. Tidy. Expert. A last act of kindness for a longtime friend. However, the enemy remained in the field. The person who had deceived Vincent was still twisting threads and tearing apart Sonny's company. Then the last clue came to light. The offshore funds were tracked back to a shell business, which was connected to a former FBI agent named Daniel Mercer, by a forensic accountant who worked for Sonny. Although Mercer had formally left the FBI years ago, it appeared that he had not retired at all. Mercer had dedicated his career to pursuing organized crime. He had gone renegade and was fighting Sonny personally from the shadows using his contacts and knowledge. The game was different now. Sonny wasn't battling an avaricious underling or another gangster. This man had studied Sonny's every move for years, so he knew all the tactics. Mercer desired destruction, not wealth or influence. And he had come very close. One thing, though, worked in Sonny's favor. Mercer had finally raised his hand. The leaks ceased after Vincent left, and Sonny's surviving supporters rallied. Sonny pursued Mercer to a remote safe home in the Highlands using every tool at his disposal, including mercenaries, hackers, and dishonest officials. Killing Mercer wasn't the only goal of the last hit. It had to do with communicating. Nobody could bring down Sonny's empire and survive, not even a former FBI agent with a personal grudge. A group of assassins surrounded the safe home on a chilly, moonless night. There was no major encounter, no bargaining, just harsh efficiency, quick. Upon its conclusion, Sonny was informed that Mercer had passed away. The enigmatic adversary had been exposed. However, the triumph seemed pointless. The organization's confidence had been destroyed, critical activities had been jeopardized, and law enforcement scrutiny had reached an all-time high. Sitting with a drink of whiskey in his darkened office, Sonny came to the realization that this conflict had cost him more than he had expected. Though he understood the truth, rumors of his success would circulate through the streets. Power was short-lived. There were always enemies. There will always be someone else lurking in the shadows, regardless of how many hits he ordered. Although the world of General Hospital is accustomed to shocking turns, Drew Kane's most recent acts have rocked the fanbase like nothing else in recent memory. In a startling change of events, Drew did something so morally repugnant and completely unexpected that, just minutes after the show aired, social media was ablaze with fury. Once supporting him as a hero, fans are now calling for his head. Figuratively, of course, because the character's decisions have gone too far, which many viewers feel is unacceptable. Drew has been presented as one of Port Charles's most honorable characters for many years. A man of integrity, a loving father, and a former Navy SEAL, he has always stood up for justice despite overwhelming circumstances. He was a fan favorite because of his bond with Carly, his commitment to his kids, and his readiness to put others before himself. However, the authors have completely changed the plot in one heartbreaking scene, making Drew the latest villain on the show. The incident took place amid a high-stakes altercation between Michael Corinthos, Drew's long-standing opponent. Business rivalry, personal betrayals, and divergent beliefs have been the main causes of the two parties' simmering tensions for months. But nobody anticipated that Drew would go as far as he did. He purposefully revealed a long-kept secret about Michael that put his family in risk in addition to publicly humiliating him. Even worse, Drew acted without regret, icily defending his behavior as required for the greater good. The consequences were immediate. Facebook, Reddit, and Twitter all erupted in angry responses. Within an hour, hashtags like #DrewIsDeadToMe and #FireDrew went viral as fans expressed their incredulity and rage. The character's abrupt heel turn betrays a lot of seasoned fans, who accuse the writers of sacrificing years of character development for the sake of shock effect. However, some contend that this turn of events creates gripping drama and implies that Drew's darker side has always been present. The timing of this plot is what makes it so contentious. After months of incarceration and mental anguish, Drew has recently been at the heart of a redemption arc, rebuilding his life. His abrupt turn into a villain was all the more startling because his tenacity had been praised by his fans. According to some theories, this might be the start of a longer story that could result in a mental breakdown, or a more thorough examination of his experience. Others worry that it's just a cheesy tactic to get ratings. Cameron Matheson, who plays Drew, hinted in a recent interview that nothing is ever black and white in Port Charles. The actors have remained silent, which has only stoked rumors that there might be more to the story. Perhaps mind control, blackmail, or a complex plot that hasn't been revealed yet. Fans are left to deal with a different Drew till that time for them. One thing is clear as the indignation grows. General Hospital has been successful in generating conversation. It remains to be seen if this turn of events will ultimately succeed or fail miserably. But for the time being, Drew Kane has solidified his position as Port Charles's most despised individual, and the internet won't let him forget it. Few plotlines on General Hospital have sparked as much immediate rage as Drew Kane's recent acts, but the show thrives on drama, treachery, and unexpected turns. Fans are now wondering if forgiveness is even possible, because a figure who was once hailed as a hero crossed a moral line so severely in one heartbreaking moment. The fallout has been dramatic, with social media platforms exploding with fury, think pieces analyzing the character's demise, and intense discussions over whether the writers made a disastrous mistake or a wonderful narrative choice.